We made the original in 1987, and we thought we had something fresh to say, unique. There hadn't been very many business movies made up until then. In fact, my father, who was a stockbroker all his life, used to tell me that there were no good business movies. And after the success of Platoon, which was a war film, I really wanted to transfer it back to the domestic America and see the war at home, so to speak, the war in the financial jungle of New York, which is my hometown. So it was like going home, back to my roots, and seeing Wall Street, and trying to make a movie that my father would be proud of, you know. In fact, the original Wall Street came off of the Scarface movie, which I wrote in Miami, which is about, again, materialism and greed and cocaine and all these. What shocked me in Miami was, and all of Florida, was all these young people who were making big money. And I would come up to New York and I would see young stockbrokers for the first time in my life making big money. Because in my father's era, young stockbrokers were climbing the rope. I mean, they were making their way up. They were not making big scores yet. So this was quite new, a phenomenon of young people making money. I said, aha, this is an interesting movie idea. The crash happened in 2008, and that made it suddenly very interesting because you saw all the flaws of the system came up. The banks had been abusive to the American public and had miscalculated and leveraged themselves into a position of enormous speculation, which is really the mother of all evil, is speculation to this degree. And America became a casino society. Even Shia LaBeouf and Carey Mulligan, who are the younger people in the movie, are very much compromised by the system. So we see them, they're not where Charlie Sheen was. Charlie Sheen was a kid from Queens. He goes into the blue collar, he's a blue collar kid, he goes into it and he says, wow, these are big numbers, and he falls in love with corruption until he finds his way out of the corruption. In Shia's case, it's a different kind of corruption, and he's involved in it, but he's got a good heart and a good soul, like Charlie Sheen did in the original, but he tries to negotiate a far more complex world. And what I think is surprising about the movie is that it's hopeful, and he finds his way through this morass, this labyrinth of confusion, because he has mentors like Frank Langella, Michael Douglas, and surprisingly a new generation of Josh Brolin, who's in his 40s. So he has 3 mentors in the course of the movie. And each one represents another form of confusion and deceit, and they trick him. But I won't give you the ending because there's a tremendous twist at the end. But I think it's a hell of an entertaining tale. It's fun. I'm enjoying making it. I don't think I would have enjoyed working on Wall Street 2 if it had been another sequel, in the sense of this is a wholly original story and quite different. Well, Charlie Sheen comes back into the movie. It's a nice little scene. It's just a small cameo for Charlie, but you see them meet up later in life because Charlie is the one who put Gordon behind bars, and it's just a repartee at a party. And Charlie has become, Bud Fox's character has become everything that, in a sense, he didn't want to become. I mean, he became a sybarite. He loved the money too, Charlie. He went to jail a little bit. He did some time for putting the wire for insider trading, but he didn't really learn the lesson. And I'll let you judge that. Josh's character is the chief antagonist in the sense that he's the new generation, 40 years old, rising banker, top of the pole. You know, he's very rich, very arrogant, very entitled. He's one of 4 or 5 partners in a major investment bank. He pressures Frank Langella's bank into liquidation. At the same time, he becomes a mentor of Shia LaBeouf. Josh becomes a new Gecko, to my mind, a very sexy, handsome, but devastatingly dangerous man. And I worked with him on W, as he played George Bush. He's a wonderful young actor. He's not young, he's a wonderful middle-aged actor. What the film does, it has 3 generations right now. It has Shia's generation in their 20s, it has Josh in his 40s, and Gordon in his 60s. And I think that's a wonderful contrast. First of all, I want to tell a great story because it deserves it. And I love people, and you know, we don't live our lives by telling great stories. We live our lives in the daily grind of trying to find our way, and as a result, sometimes a story emerges. It's the intersection of 5 lives: Frank Langella and Carey Mulligan, Michael Douglas, Shia LaBeouf, and Josh Brolin. They're all, not one of them is pure. All of them are mixed. Every single one of them, if you look at the movie, betrays the other one in some way. Betrays another one. It's a Shark Tank. Now, but that doesn't mean you can't like people who are in that tank. So that's the great thing about this movie is that even Gordon Gekko is not all bad.